Oh, the title's not visible. They keep changing the UI around. Anyway, welcome to Raising Funds for World Domination, day number 255. Let me update the UI to fix that. Alright, that's better. Okay, it's time for the daily update. So once again, there are no updates on any of these items. Still Sunday, still holiday season, so no updates on the rid eviction, supposed appeal. And I made one sale on the Shopify Store a couple days ago for one of the 5 silicon dies. So I'll get that shipped in the next couple days. And I also worked on the next long form video today. Pedro Gomez 1744 says, greetings from Texas. How's it going? All right, so tonight we will be continuing on with development work on the terminal block mining simulation game. So yesterday, I guess I didn't commit anything. So the current focus is to get a text area. I think I'll make it work with multi-line compatibility as well. So I'm basically implementing the re-implementing everything that's necessary for a text area, so like backspace and all that kind of stuff, and that will allow me to capture input for settings and things like that. Oh, look at that. Oh yes, that's because I added some debug code. What will you do with the game when it's finished? I don't think it'll ever be finished. It's always something that could be implemented. I'm going to make a shot at it, trying to actually derive some revenue from it. Try and for my, I guess, contribution to software development. I guess, well, I don't know. We'll see how I get through the next few videos of content. But I'd kind of like to return. I like to get away from all the rid eviction stuff and get back to actually making videos about software development. So there's lots of content, lots of easy content I could do, like about software development and like, you know, talking about like the design principles in the game and go over the code and stuff, because there's quite a bit of stuff in the game now. Like design and like how the keys are handled and stuff, and I could just make a bunch of content around that, and then that would be relevant on its own merit, consistent with my, you know, the original topic of my channel. And then maybe I can also convert some people to buy some new sponsored block types and get more people interested in it. Okay, so the basics of this works. So the thing that doesn't work is the delete key. And we discovered last stream that that's because it's a it's an ANSI escape sequence. Let me think here. I think that's not used. What is the game? The game, well, I guess I can demo it. So it's a terminal-based video game that you can play in the Linux terminal, and you get to wander around an infinite procedurally generated universe, and you spam the M key to mine blocks of iron ore and other minerals. So I'm currently, the kind of major feature I'm trying to add at the moment is some support for multiplayer. So there's it's kind of like the UI is a bit buggy at the moment. And that's because I recently made some changes, so more of the stuff is being done on the server. The eventual model will be, I need to actually like respond to in the client. It needs to capture the commands you type, and then like calculate what to do, how to update the client, the local client, and then also send it to the server and have like a transaction resolution. So if like two players try to move to the same location, then it'll one of them will bounce back. Yeah, this is pretty much the game loop. So you can mine some iron ore over here. Let me close that. Got a crafting menu here, so we can craft stone pick. There we go. And now I can mine out to a larger radius. Are you a fan of chiptune? Actually, I don't really know the definition of chiptune. I made I came up with years ago. I came up with a Linux one-liner command that would compose music from the entropy in dev random, and they would just kind of like play random notes on the scale. And I remember people called that chiptune. Other than that, I don't think I've ever listened to like an actual song that I heard of as that anyone referred to as chiptune. Oh, you're familiar with the entropy generator? That's good. That was one of my first few hits on Hacker News. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's due to a bug currently exists. As part that I need to resolve as part of the multiplayer work. Let me see. So I'm going to have to update the ANSI escape sequence parser. So to parse that new ANSI escape code for the delete key. I guess it's called like replace or something. So I press delete and so this is the escape sequence. And last stream I had just found that out. That was some kind of there's some kind of predefined sequence for that. Remove key. I guess in general it's not very portable that I'm not supporting all these, but I don't have too many of these to implement, so I'll just do it quick. And this is also not really the greatest design, but I'll maybe refactor this later. Oops. Should really be an enum. Okay, so 1B, that's the escape. 5B, okay, bracket 3, and I always forget to pronounce that, tilde. Okay, escape, square bracket 3, and the squiggly character. played the NES, SNES games. Music for those is classic chiptune. Yeah, I guess I find it hard to articulate. I guess I'm hesitant to use the term chiptune because I don't know exactly what. Because by that definition, I think that would mean like you could technically take like any type of music, and as long as you make it sound kind of like 8-bit, then I guess maybe it becomes chiptune. I guess I did go through a phase where I started listening to the old-fashioned Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past soundtrack. That was that game. That was a very good soundtrack for that game. Well, specifically the overworld theme. Okay, let's see if that works. So there's lots of opportunities for it to not work if the parser doesn't work. Nope, didn't work. Parsing incomplete, true. Discarding. That's not right. Oh, that belongs in here. worked. I guess it doesn't delete the last character though. Trying to learn sysctl for an interview. Any pointers to give on kernels and kernel parameters? I would say that's one of those things that I don't understand that well. I would say if you do want to really learn it, I have a very long article that I wrote about how to get your printer to work with Linux. And actually, you can watch the video. If you watched my video on how to force your printer to work with Linux, that one does, like I said, a decent number of views. I'd say if you want just like easy watching, watch that video on 2x speed. There's some it doesn't focus that much on sysctl, but I do reference a few specific things, and there's like a few very specific like niche things about drivers and stuff. Kernel parameters. That's an area that I'm not actually. I don't actually know that much. Although from what I've learned, there's like a. I don't know. It kind of seems like there's just like there's a lot of very consistent conventions around all that kernel interface stuff. It seems well designed, but it doesn't seem like very many people have actually sat down and take the time to document it well. And it seems like kind of thing where people who just poke around in it just figure it out and like don't tell anyone else how it works because it's so consistent. But if you watch that video, I referenced some things like the location of some udev, where like udev rules are. And if you like really want to learn it super well, you could just poke around in those files, because the interaction between sysctl and the kernel itself, a lot of that goes into those udev rules. And you can I also reference a few things like there's some things like major numbers and minor numbers, and then there's also a page that has like in the Linux kernel documentation that has like a list of all the major and minor numbers and stuff. You can look into that. There's a few like commands you can use. I think it's in the video, but it's also, you might also check the blog post. I have a blog post that goes along with it too, which might be linked on the video. And on that blog post, I have some examples of the commands you can use to listen for like kernel events. And some of those things are like relevant if you want to, like if you're trying to get trying to get the like startup process and driver working for some device you don't that isn't properly working. Okay, deleting characters works, but there's an off by 1 error. That might fix it. Thanks for advice. Position is infra, sysadmin, intern role. For extra context. Infra, sysadmin. Yeah, I guess depends. It depends what kind of well, I guess an important question is what is the company what does the company do a lot of? So if they're a data storage company, you want to be thinking, you want to, like this, like for every category of device, there's a whole like ecosystem of tools and things like that. Like if it's a hard disk, something to do with data storage and stuff, stuff like the smart monitoring tools and stuff. And there's like a million different commands and things you can use for getting information about hard drives and the different kinds of interfaces and stuff. But if it's a printer company, then you want to watch my printer video and learn those commands. And like some of the like there's a whole, if you look at like the kernel events and UDEV rules and stuff, those would be different for every single category of type of device that they actually need to interface with. And then I guess it could be that they like just run everything in the cloud, and then there might be everything. Some of that might already be kind of baked into GPU and AI stuff. Okay, yeah, I guess they're then that's actually an area that I don't know much about, but I would imagine there's probably a Linux command for like that tells you information about your GPUs. Like there's some basic commands like I think you can just do like lshw, and then a common thing is lshw, and then grep that for like GPU or NVIDIA or something, and those are like basic debugging commands for that stuff. And I mean, you asked about sysctl, but these would kind of tie together, because if you're trying to figure out like let's say you boot up, you're in charge of this stuff, and then you boot up the machine with 5,000 new GPUs, and they're not visible. You need to figure out why. So you can kind of go through these successive commands, run lshw, see if it shows up there, and then you can kind of trace down the level of the level of detection, see if it's not getting picked up by the UDEV rule, if it's like there's a typo in it or something, or if it's not matching something properly for that specific GPU. And for that, you have to learn like what are the common ways that like what are the common rules that are used specifically for GPUs. If you want to be super relevant to that, what that company does. But broadly speaking, there's probably there's an infinite number of hardware out there. So you could probably spend a lifetime learning about the intricacies of like how to interface with every different category of hardware. Because there's a whole suite of tools for disks and video cards and speakers and microphones and cameras and Future Tech Malay LM says hi bro, how's it going? Okay, we got an exception. So how did this get to an invalid value? right. No more crashing. Piggies 8611 says, "Hi Robert, how's it going?" Okay, now it's time to implement new line. Do you get revenue from midstream ads? So far I've been pitched lipstick, bacon, and furniture. Interesting. Is lipstick something that you're interested in? The revenue from the ads on the stream is basically zero. I turned it off at one point, but then I think I did like 100 live streams without monetization on, and I think that actually hurt the channel metrics. So I turned it back on, and then that seemed to be positive for 1 month, but then it went back to low overall revenue for months. So I'm not sure how it works. But yeah, the revenue, ad revenue from streams, basically nothing. I think it comes out to like 7 cents or something per live stream. I guess technically, I because monetization's on, you might still if people watch the VOD over time. But I guess a lot of these videos are probably not too interesting. Mind code is good code. Yep, that's true. Or do you think that'll do it? Let's just try it and see if there's any off by one errors. Interesting. That's messed up. And that's a problem. Interesting. So I guess it's not even processing the new line or the enter key. Zero D. What is zero D? Oh, it's a carriage return. I guess this will also have compatibility issues with Windows, but I'll work on that later. All right, that's almost there. Just got an off by 1 on the second part of the line. All right, it's getting close. Now we just need to implement the Y scrolling, and also the ability to delete a new line on a previous new line on backspace. All right, I'll probably leave it there for tonight. Put it in my hour. I'd say there's probably only like about one more hour of development on this. Probably next stream I'll get this like the basic functionality of this thing working. And then the next thing I'm going to think about is creating a data structure to add these inputs to. I'll do some other stuff, like maybe some cleanup. I'll probably add a flag, because for most inputs, for the initial ones anyway, I don't need new lines. So we'll turn those off, like for the connection information. And then once I have that, some data structure working, so I can actually tab between them, then I'll work on actually implementing that as a piece of connection information. So within the help menu, I guess I'll just go like escape, open world connection or something, and then you'll go into that. And then I guess I also need to figure out, I'll need a mechanism for easily adding the inputs into the menu. I haven't thought about that, but it's probably not too difficult. All right, we'll leave it there for tonight. And then we'll pick things up again tomorrow night for day 256, which is a very special day because it's an exact power of 2. All right, that's it for tonight. Have a good night.